All right, welcome you guys. Welcome to our Healthy Together Time class. We're going to be doing these every Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. You got to do the time zone dance, right? And we're Amber and Jared Smithson, and we have been helping people with their health as coaches for 12 years now. And we love it. And we are so grateful personally that we have Optavia in our lives. And I wanted to just open it up, maybe get a few of you who are willing to share what you're grateful for that Optavia has brought into your life. So I'm gonna have Natalie, go ahead and unmute yourself, Natalie. Would you like to share?
Yes, I actually was able to stop taking my anti-anxiety and depression medication ever since I started developing skills to be able to process emotions. And living in Alaska, it's not easy in the winter, but I felt confident to be able to come off that medication. So super grateful.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I love it, Natalie. Thank you. Okay, Sarah Joy, go ahead and come off mute and share what you're thankful for that Optavia has brought into your life.
So I'm really thankful for Optavia. It's just created this vehicle for continual self-improvement in my life that I was really missing, before all of this. And yep, you agree. And just to kind of speak on what Natalie was saying, just the emotional processing that I've learned through all this and being able to share that with my family members and clients. And it's just life changing to be able to not be ruled by your emotions and be able to live your life in a more freeing way.
I love that. I love it. And he's chiming in too, right? So good. Okay, Cheryl, this will be our last one. Go ahead and take yourself off mute.
Well, Optavia has given me a community to belong to. During COVID, I was stuck at home like a lot of other people. And that's when I joined Optavia as a client. And I just love the community meetings. And I love being able to meet with you guys and get the instruction, not only how to be a good coach, because now I'm a coach, but also the mindset. And it just supports, everything I do now is based on what I've learned in Optavia. And that's what I'm grateful for.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Cheryl. Sure appreciate you. All right. So I am going to share my screen just a little bit. Here we go. Okay. Healthy Together Time, mind and body, community.
So we are going to quickly go through for some of you might be new to our community. So we're just going to give you kind of a brief overview of the 4 components of our transformational system. And then we're going to get right into our topic, which tonight we're going to talk about our thoughts. And I'm wearing my Isn't That Interesting shirt because our thoughts, they're just interesting.
Yep.
They're not always true. They're not always factual. They're not always serving us very well. So we're going to talk about that. But first thing, everybody who comes into the Optavia family gets a personal health coach. And our personal health coach is Amber's mom. And she found this program after decades of yo-yo dieting. And she found that it really worked. And we watched her for quite some time, for over a year. And we saw that she reached a healthy weight, that she was keeping her weight off, that she was, to Natalie's point and Sarah's point, that she kept growing and she was becoming this different person. And we wanted a little bit of that in our lives because we were struggling. So every single person who comes into our community has access to that coach. Our founder, Dr. Wayne Anderson, wrote the Habits of Health Transformational System. And after more than 2 decades as a critical care physician, he felt like he was too far downstream. He was catching bodies of people who just needed to have their lives saved, quite frankly. And he wanted to move upstream and actually help people create a quality of life and create health rather than just reacting to disease or symptoms. So the transformational system that he wrote is made up of a textbook, which is really a resource guide. If you want to read about something health related, it's probably in there.
Yeah.
The day-to-day activity and thought processing we do in what's called your life book. And this is just taking us through kind of journaling activities that is going to help you rewrite how you live your life. It's going to give you a new approach on life. Our community. We're here tonight, part of our community time. And we have a lot of different resources to get you involved in the community. And then scientifically designed fueling and nutrition plans that will help you get to your healthy weight. If you're already there, we can help you up your energy, accomplish any of those health goals that you have.
Awesome. So if you are a client, or maybe you're just a friend and someone invited you tonight, connect with the coach who invited you. And if you are a client, kind of do like a self-check. Where do I need to plug in more of those 4 components? Because I'll tell you what, when you plug into all 4, you get those long-term success. You get that long-term success that you're really looking for. But let's talk about thoughts tonight. Okay, so I love this quote: you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And if you think of your thoughts like waves in the ocean, that you're going to get thoughts that come, they're going to come up, they're going to go out, and we're going to teach you a little bit better how to surf them.
And I'll say this, we've, in the last 10 years, we've been to Hawaii quite a few times. As Optavia coaches and stuff, it's given us that freedom to work wherever we want. And that's a place that we love. And our family, we've taken up that activity of surfing several times. It's not easy. I'm a pretty athletic person. Way easier on one of those big giant boards than on a fun, nimble one and stuff. But it's not easy. Learning how to manage our thoughts, also not easy, but it's worth it. It totally changes our lives. And in the words of Dr. Anderson, it's really the key to helping us become the dominant force in our life.
Okay, so surfing thought waves. Let's dive in just a little bit more. What does that even mean? So sometimes we have thoughts that are unhelpful. Have you ever had an unhelpful thought, something that's just like kind of ruining your day or your week or your life? So here's some belief systems, or here's some ways that you can surf your thoughts. Number 1, just because I think it doesn't mean it's true. Really noticing where we're making stuff up, right? Where we're projecting thoughts onto other people, or what their meaning was, or what the situation really was. Like what could you really capture on video camera? That's the actual facts, right? Everything else, our brain is designed to fill in the gaps. So just because a thought comes your way, it doesn't mean it's 100% true.
Every thought isn't necessarily important. I mean, we do this all the time. Our brain, its job is to just categorize and sift through all of the stimulus and information that's coming through our eyes and ears and all of our senses, right? And it says, oh, that's not important, that is important. And so sometimes thoughts that become conscious thoughts, sometimes we're not very good at recognizing those things and saying that one also is not important. Our brain unconsciously sets aside a lot of stuff that's not important to us, but take some time and get in the habit of kind of categorizing whether a conscious thought is actually important to the situation or not.
Yeah, I like what Jenny Lynn put in the chat. She said thoughts are like backseat drivers. They're not in control of where we go unless we let them be. Have you ever had someone sit in the back seat? Maybe it's like your mother-in-law or your bossy brother or something like that. And they're like, turn here, turn here, turn here. but you have to actually decide to like turn the wheel, right?
No, the new backseat driver is you've got the GPS on, and the GPS is talking to you and they're telling you what to do also. I'm like, just let one person do it.
So true. How about this? A thought isn't in order. That goes right along with the backseat driver. It's like, turn here, but you decide. It's not in order just because it became
rerouting.
Exactly. Rerouting. How about this one? Not every thought is wise.
Oh, this was a hard one for me because I thought I'm like, I'm a smart person. Everything I think is wise. Oh, no, it's not. Just ask my wife or kids. It's not all wise.
Yes. I want to give you an example of this, of some of these. So if I were to say the words pink elephant, put in the chat, like what thoughts pop into your head? What are the types of things? If I said pink elephants, like, what do you think of? What thoughts just come? Okay, Dumbo. What's some other things? Heffalumps, fluffy stuffed animals, Pooh Bear, drinking. Okay. All right. So these are all thoughts that are just like popping up. And does that mean that you have to go watch Dumbo right now, or you have to go drink right now just because I said pink elephants? No, we have lots of thoughts that come onto our brain, and it's okay. They're not orders. They're not necessarily important.
Piggy bank. I like that one.
Exactly. Okay, so I think you're getting it. Let's keep going with this. So another way that we can view our thoughts or things that are happening in our lives is to go to the movies, basically.
Another word for this is metacognition. This is a unique human ability that we have the ability to think about our thinking, to step back. A dog, it like sees a fire hydrant and what does it do, right? Runs over and thinks it has to go to the bathroom on it, right? And so we get to sit and watch a movie and think about your life this way, that the world's happening to you, like on the screen, and you can take yourself back into the seat and you're watching your life on the big screen. You can take it a step further. You can actually watch yourself from the box where they're shooting the film from onto the screen, and you can watch yourself watching.
Maybe this is you right here with the Diet Coke.
And you've gone up above and you're watching yourself watch your life.
So if you go to the movies of your life, you can step out of your thoughts and observe rather than being held hostage by them, by the things that are just right now happening. And what if you could go to the movies and you don't need to judge the thoughts that are coming? You don't need to judge the emotions that are coming your way. And you can make room for unpleasant things. You could make room for cravings of food, or you could make room for sadness or whatever it is that's coming your way.
How many of you have ever been to a movie that made you feel an emotion, that made you feel sad? Okay, I'm seeing some hands. Did you get up and leave the movie? Some people leave movies. That's okay if they don't like what's on the screen, but most of us stick it out and we see how the story ends. We don't judge it just right there. Oh, this is a sad part of the movie.
I can't take any sadness.
I can't take any sadness. We're okay with feeling that emotional roller coaster that happens in a 2-hour block, right? But when it happens to us in our real life, when we're right in the thick of it and we don't think that we're in control of anything, we want out, we want to buffer, and that's where we're going to go.
Yeah. So if you can allow some thoughts or unpleasantness without needing to struggle with it, without needing to buffer it, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second, but they tend to bother us less and we're able to move on more quickly. And this is important because there's a lot of us on this call or listening to this playback or podcast that probably have some goals that we want to achieve in our life with our healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, whatever it might be, you might have some goals, and maybe some of your buffering techniques are actually getting in the way of those goals. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so these are a lot of common buffers. Eating, sleeping, drinking, blaming, exercising.
Swiping on your phone.
Oh man, it's said that the average person swipes that baby open for over 400 times a day.
I believe that.
How many of you have ever gone to your phone and you close it and you're like, what? Or you get it open, you're like, what was I going to look for?
Like 10 times a day.
Like all the time, right? And it's because our mind is just constantly trying to find what, like whether it's an emotion or we're lost in emotion. So we're not saying that any of these things are necessarily good or bad.
Or that you're a bad person because you swipe your phone 400 times a day. You're probably just like an American.
Okay, so let's take eating. That's at the top of the list. And we deal with that a lot in Optavia because about 3 out of 4 people that come to us are wanting to lose weight initially.
Right.
Okay, so when I'm feeling, and we use an acronym, BLASTED: bored, lonely, angry, stressed, tired, excited, depressed. These are like some core emotions that we feel all the time. And if I'm feeling bored, this used to be me 12 years ago before I lost 50 pounds and have kept it off for more than a decade. When I was bored, hey, there's always a friend in the fridge or in the pantry. I would just go eat just to pass time. What I wasn't okay with was that boredom is okay. It's okay just to be. And when we get in the habit of not, the inability to just be angry, be sad, be excited, be depressed, just being a human being, we end up becoming a human doing. And we do a lot of these things to cover up the feeling so that we don't have to feel that feeling anymore.
So sometimes when people go, well, when I'm emotional, I eat. So, but what can I do to stop? We get that question a lot. Like, I want to not do that, but I keep doing it. Like, yeah, okay. I see some people nodding. So we are going to teach you some skills tonight.
Well, first of all, before Amber teaches you the skill, is I did that. I would eat when I was emotional, right? Whether it's boredom or anger or stress or something like that. And then I'm like, what I heard in some places was, oh, you just need to replace that with something else. Mm-hmm. So guess what I did? I went and replaced it with exercising, but I wasn't dealing with the emotion. I was just doing something that was quote unquote healthier.
Yeah, I'm going to tell a story about that. So when I was growing up, I used to babysit my little brothers, okay? And my little brothers were like kind of a nightmare. I love them, but they were so messy. They would get into everything. One of my brothers like literally shot our glass door out of the window out of the door. With a BB gun. So they used to love ramen noodles, and they were not allowed to eat ramen noodles in the TV room. Okay, obviously, because there's carpet in there. What happens with a big bowl of broth and noodles when you are a little kid, right? You spill it and it gets everywhere. So what they would do instead of cleaning up their spill, because they were like 5, is they would put a towel on top of it and then they would run away. This is what they did. And then me as the babysitter, and I'm like 12, I don't know. And I'm like, dang them. I knew there was something under that towel, right? That towel is not just sitting there for fun. And I lift it up and it's all broth and noodles and gross, right? And I had to clean it up or make them come do it. So not dealing with your emotions or just trying to buffer them is like throwing a towel on the ramen noodles on the carpet. Does it actually clean it up? No, it's still under there. You still got to clean it up. You could switch the towel. You could be like, I don't want that blue towel. I want this red towel instead. That's better, right? No, there's still ramen noodles under there.
It's like playing peekaboo with a baby, right? That when you cover the baby's eyes, they don't think you're there anymore, but you are.
You're there. So we're going to teach you how to clean up what's under the towel. How about that? You guys ready for some skill building right now? Okay. So 5 steps to processing emotion. We're going to go through these. Name it, locate it, describe it, shift it, and listen to it. So the first one is name it. If you can get real specific with what you're feeling, you are better likely to be able to process through it. If you're just like, oh, I'm just feeling bad, that's not going to be as helpful. If you're like, I'm feeling really anxious and overwhelmed, which is a subset of being scared. Like that's really specific, right? So if you can get really specific with how you're feeling, that's step 1. Say it out loud. Step 2, find it in your body. A lot of times different emotions tend to reside in similar places, like sadness in your eyes. That's why you cry. Or anger, like your jaw, like it's clenched.
Or you get this, the white knuckles, because you're clenching your hands.
Yeah, fear, like
or if you like hold your shoulders weird,
pit in your stomach,
yeah.
You know, and then find it in your body. Like just check, do a body check. Like, where do I feel that in my body right now? And then describe it. Is your jaw clenching, or is your stomach tightening, or your heart pounding? Like really just get in there and see what's going on.
Notice that we're not saying go back to the thought. We're leaving the thoughts alone. We're just focusing on the actual emotion. Notice this, go ask someone, hey, how are you feeling? They will start talking to you for a half an hour about everything that they're thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
People don't actually know how they're feeling most of the time. So go on to shift it.
Then you can start to shift it. You can breathe. You could bring attention to it. It's like, have you ever had a little kid just trying to get your attention? And they're like, Amber, Amber, Jared, 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 Jared. And they're going to keep doing that until you do what? Until you give them attention.
This shift it is a lot about acceptance, just being. Like it says right there, allow that emotion just to be. Not telling yourself that this emotion is bad or that it's good. I mean, people say, oh, happy, that's good. Sad, that's bad. Well, guess what? Happy wouldn't exist without sad.
So taking some deep breaths, just really allowing that to be there and being able to look at it. And what typically happens in emotion is energy in motion. Emotion is when you do this, when you give that attention, a lot of times it will flow through your body. Sometimes it shifts to another place in your body. It's really interesting when you try this. Then don't skip this part, listen to it. So maybe if you're sad, what wants to be let go of or mourned? You're angry, what wants to be stopped, changed, or ended? Or fear, what wants to be known? Your body is really smart and it can sense things. And so when you can take a moment, and this doesn't have to take like all day, you guys. I typically will do this. It'll take me 2 minutes.
When you first start, it might take you a little bit longer. And this is something that your coach can help you with. But when you get really good at it, you can go through these 5 steps, like Amber said, in about 2 minutes.
Okay, so I want to bring on one of my friends, one of my clients, Gina. And Gina, I would love for you to come off mute. Raise your hand. Let's see if I can find you. Gina, I found you. Okay. Okay, Gina, go ahead and come off mute. I would love for you to share your story. Maybe share a little bit about how Optavia has blessed your life. Are you there?
I'm here.
Go ahead, Gina.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Gina Chmelling, like she said, and I have so many good things to say about this program and how it's affected my life. I had 2 decades of, in my 30s and 40s, struggling with a ton of health problems. Not to go into a ton of detail because there was 2 decades worth of struggle, but my trachea, where you breathe, was down to the size, you know, the coffee stirrers that have the 2 little holes. It was one of those. That's how much air I could breathe with at a time. And I had laser surgery and steroid therapy, so gained weight through all of that. And then as I grew older and some research had been done and some surgeries had been performed on some people, in 2015, I thought this would be my answer, to have a reconstructive surgery done. And I don't know if you know much about anatomy, but your trachea isn't very flexible. It's very stiff, kind of like a PVC pipe. And the only way to go in and take that scarring out of there was to cut it out of there and then connect the both ends back together again. And so we did that. I was the doctor's 15th case, and that's not very many. So that was very scary. I really thought I was going to go have the surgery and either get better or die. And that's just where my life was. At the time that I came out of surgery and was still alive, then I thought, cool, this is going to just solve all the problems. You know how you live. You think, well, when I move into that house, it's going to be better. When I get married, it's going to be better. I felt like when I had the surgery, my life was just going to be better. I was going to be healthy. I was going to be thin. Everything was going to be all great and wonderful. The surgery helped so I could breathe, but it didn't do the rest. I had decades of stories and beliefs, and I had emotional eating, and I had, you know, turning to stimulants, Dr. Pepper, sugar, salt, to get temporary energy from those substances. And I thought, well, I can get through this. I can do this. Well, I was still struggling with that space. And in 2017, so 2 years to the day of my reconstructive surgery of my throat, I was on a fun family trip to Palm Springs with my daughter, my parents, and my sister. And we were staying in Beaver, Utah on the way to Palm Springs. And I wasn't feeling well. And I'm not a complainer, but I didn't sleep all night. So in the morning, I said, I feel like we need to go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital emergency room, and I had a ruptured appendix. When I told them the history of my trachea, they didn't want to touch me. So I was ambulanced back to University of Utah Hospital in Salt Lake, and they did surgery. I came out of that surgery and I was sick, and I was in the hospital for 12 days on IV antibiotics, trying to get rid of infection, and I couldn't maintain my breathing. And I came home on oxygen, and I was devastated. I was 51 years old, and I had a young daughter at home. We waited a long time for her to show up. I was 40 when I had her, so she was 11. And I was literally sitting on a couch or in a chair watching her live her life. And I thought, this is insane. This is ridiculous. This isn't how I wanted to be a mom. I waited a long time to be a mom, and this isn't how I pictured it. And so I felt like I needed to do something different. And you know the saying, I was living in the definition of insanity. I was doing the same thing over and over, expecting to have a different result, and it wasn't happening. So I felt like I needed to do something different. I needed to seek something different to have a different result. So you know what happens when you start to seek? The universe starts to align and lined me up with my coach. And from that moment on, she scheduled a health assessment with me, listened to the things that I wanted to do with my life and my goals and my dreams. And she talked about a simple plan. And she said to me, can you commit to yourself for 30 days? I'd done a lot in the last 2 decades to try to stay alive. And I thought, I can do anything for 30 days. I can do this. I can do 30 days. And here I am. It's 3 years later. So as I look at the trilogy of health that this program offers, in healthy body, yeah, I'm down 50 pounds. I have energy. I can hike. I can camp. I can crawl to the top of the bed on top of our tent on our truck. I can do activities with my husband and my daughter, and I enjoy being with them to do those things instead of sitting at home on the couch. In my healthy mindset, man, so much growth there. Even a year ago, if you'd have asked me to be on this call doing this conversation about my life and my story, there's no way I would have done it. Did I have to do some emotional processing over the last little bit? Absolutely. You know, I started to get nervous about an hour before this call, but I wasn't sick since yesterday when I was asked to do it. I love to share this story because I have become more open and curious as those thoughts come to my mind. I challenge them I look at my limiting beliefs and see what is it holding me back from. Like we've mentioned tonight, I've got tools to process emotions. I've increased my own personal development, and I'm becoming that person that I wanted to become, that I only thought I could ever dream of or wish to be. In Healthy Finances is the third part of the trilogy. I started coaching this program for selfish reasons. It worked. I wanted to have more for me. I wanted to stay healthy for me. I wanted my family to be healthy. Both my husband and my daughter are type 1 diabetics, and they have done well on the program, but that was selfish reasons that I started. And I just wanted to maintain that. But then I found that it was so fun, and it's incredible to be able, and it's a privilege to be able to share this gift with others. 2020 was a weird year. It was, my daughter changed in her schooling and she started to do online, and it was an absolute blessing to be home and be with her as that change happened. I didn't have to worry about my job and being gone and away from home and what she had to do with that. It's so amazing to do things that are rewarding and earn a little bit more than what my house payment is every month, to be able to do that. And that's just a total bonus. I'm an energetic person. I'm stronger. I'm more confident. I'm more outgoing. I talk to strangers. That's a goal I have now when I leave my house, to talk to someone, actually speak words to someone. And I challenge my beliefs. Like I said, I get out of my own way a lot of the time, and I'm going after my dreams. And I'm going to be forever grateful for Amber for sharing this gift with me. And I believe this is just the beginning of my story. Thanks.
Wow, Gina. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Seriously, I do believe the universe brought us together as well. Well, that's a story for another day, though. And, you know, many of you, some of you came on this call just to get some little more healthy mind and body information, and others of you came to learn a little bit more about what it might look like to pay it forward. So we're going to take a few minutes right now. We're going to end our call with some basics of what it could look like to help somebody else. So stick around if you're curious about any of these things. The secret to how to be 500% more likely to reach and maintain your healthy weight. Or how about this one? How much money coaches make. We don't talk about those things, right? We're going to talk about that. Other info on what it might look like to pay it forward and help others. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining Healthy Together Time tonight. And we will see you next week.